This week on Hooligan Nation, a KISS movie, they said. It will be great, they said. Let's cast a black stunt double for Ace Frehley. No one will notice, they said. Let's voice over Peter Criss's voice. He's a drummer. No one will notice, they said. It's not terrible, but you may want to have a few drinks before watching it. And you may want to have a few more drinks before watching us watch KISS Meets the Phantom of the Park. Stay tuned, because you got
nothing to lose.
That's like C-3PO on testosterone.
You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking KISS. Welcome back to Hooligan Nation. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rocco.
And we're the Hooligans. Hi.
Hey, what's happening?
So we're back for another week. It's a special week this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you as my date to the movies. What do you want to go see?
Can we go see KISS Meets the Phantom in the Park?
As long as it's not a chick flick, we can go see it.
We're 9 and 10 years old again.
According to most people, I'm perpetually stuck at 9 years old anyway. So, to recap last episode, got anything you want to add to Creatures of the Night?
Actually, you led me perfectly there because there's nothing needed to be added to that album. That album was, in my opinion, based on the music that I love, a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think to do it its greatest justice is to say it's perfect. Let's move on.
They needed to come out with a Balls album, like an in-your-face rock and roll album. They were at that place, and they seen what was good, what was working, and they nailed it. As far as I'm concerned, with the whole Creatures thing, and for summing up Creatures, like Dynasty was great. I didn't care for Unmasked, but when Creatures came out, I mean, I liked it then. I love it even more now.
Yeah, it definitely stands the test of time.
Just for the hooligans out there, listen, this is how we feel, but we're both. I think it's safe to say we're loving the comments. Like it's starting to evolve in what we want. We want the comments to keep them coming because you guys have some really articulate takes. And if you view Creatures different, feel free to put that on there too. But and that's what it's about. So again, thank you to the hooligans because we're really having a blast with these comments, and we're trying to respond to every comment. So definitely continue, keep it coming.
All right, you got any news?
The only news, again, I've been following Bruce Kulick a lot lately, listening to some of his stuff. I did see an interview. I don't have any notes on it. It was an interview where there's some stuff there where he still is so politically correct and such a, they call him a mensch. But he basically was saying how it was kind of, they deep down, they both had to know that this day was coming, that eventually they're going to go out and they're going to kind of be lost in the shuffle. But he kind of let it be known, like, during the recording of, I think it was Carnival of Souls, Gene and Paul were constantly getting phone calls and stepping out. And it was probably Ace and Peter, and they were figuring that out as they were going. I mean, you could not have joined that band to not know that the overall masses of the fans are going to eventually want to see the original four. So there's some stuff out there pretty recent from Bruce. Again, if you go on YouTube, you can find it.
It's always good stuff from Bruce. It's a little too politically correct a lot of times for me, but he definitely is the ambassador of that era of KISS. Today, we are going to discuss KISS Meets the Phantom of the Park in great detail. I have about 4 pages worth of notes. I have to tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching the movie. I even made popcorn because that has to be part of the movie experience. I still love the movie, but I do have a 9-year-old inside of me, and that might be part of it. We're going to do something a little different today, or at least we're going to try to do it. We're going to do kind of sort of a watch party kind of thing because we're going to play the movie off screen and we're going to discuss certain parts of the movie, and we're going to see how this works, because we wanted to do something different and switch it up for a week. And we thought that this would probably be interesting and entertaining, and if nothing else, it's funny as hell. And that's not making fun of it. Because at least for me, while watching the movie, a lot of things started to make sense to me over why it gets the criticism that it gets, and why people make fun of it, and why pretty much every band member other than Ace hates it. I think Ace doesn't hate it because Ace has a sense of humor. That's how I looked at it. So we're going to try something new today. And if it turns out like shit, well, we'll do better next time. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park was released October 28th, 1978. It was on NBC Network. It was written by Jan Michael Sherman and Don Boudet, directed by Gordon Hessler. I think all three of them should have been fired, personally. It's starring Kiss, Anthony Zerbe, Deborah Ryan, blah, 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 blah. Executive producer was Joseph Barbera from Hanna-Barbera. It was filmed at Magic Mountain in California. One of the great telling facts is that it had a $3 million budget. Now, let me put this into perspective for you, because I went deep diving a little bit. It was sold to Kiss by Bill Aucoin and Neil Bogart that Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park was going to be a cross between Hard Day's Night and Star Wars. Okay? Now, I want you to think about that. Okay. The difference, or one of the big differences, is Star Wars was released in 1977, and I'm a Star Wars geek. I am a card-carrying, full-fledged member of the Star Wars Geek Association.
He's not kidding. He had the sheets. He had the pillows. He had the Millennium Falcon. He had curtains. You name it. He was the Star Wars guy.
I am as geeky as humanly possible when it comes to both Star Wars and Kiss. But the biggest difference is the budget. So Star Wars came out in 1977. It was a completely, relatively unknown George Lucas, and it had a $13 million budget. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park had a $3 million budget. Like, that to me, what's wrong with this movie starts with the budget, then it goes to who wrote it, and then it goes to who directed it. Like, I would, revisionist history, but this is so good revisionist history. Can you imagine? Well, first question, I would love if they were both alive. I would love to ask Bill Aucoin and Neil Bogart, if you were going to make A Hard Day's Night meets Star Wars, why didn't you go get George Lucas?
Wow.
Why didn't you go get George Lucas? I mean, knowing what I know about the Star Wars franchise and how it started, like, all the special effects in the original Star Wars movie, like, for anybody that's listening to this that is not a Star Wars geek, go find an old Star Wars documentary and watch how they created the original Star Wars. Like, the creativity that went into it
Right.
is what was lacking and what is lacking in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
And they never acted before either. Like
Yeah, but I didn't think that I might get killed for this, and I might be the only one. The acting didn't bother me.
You know what bothered me? There wasn't enough dialogue between them.
Well, there's a reason for that. I mean, they've all gone in and said that none of them even read the script. They were reading off of cue cards most of the time. And I have it somewhere in my notes that that's one of the good parts is if you pay attention to the movie, their dialogue is all very short.
Mm.
There's no extended versions where they can sound like they're bad actors. Like that was done to me was done well, let's give Ace 3 words to say, let's give Paul 5 words to say, let's have Gene growl, and let's have Peter Criss stand there. Like that's pretty much the theory of the movie. Which seemed to work, at least for me. It kind of works. Is it moves it along. It doesn't look forced because they made their lines so short. But where it goes haywire is the dialogue is terrible. Like I like the story. The story's kind of interesting to me. For a campy, funny, low budget movie, it's fun to watch.
I mean, just for me, I watched it today, and we're gonna watch it again on this watch party. But like for me, and it's just out of like almost same with Elder. I wanted the movie behind it. Like for me, they were superheroes when I was a kid, and so you kind of had drawn up in your head. Like I followed Batman and stuff, but you kind of followed in your head what they could be if it was done right. So that kind of left me feeling a little empty, even though there were some good parts. It's still cool seeing my band in that, but I kind of, you could see that it was really read well, and they really took their time and gave them good dialogue and really accentuated each character. I think it could have brought out so much more. I felt a little
Sure. And the fact that Kiss was on top of the world at the time, and money was rolling in the way it was, it makes me wonder, like, if you wanted to make a musical Star Wars type movie, why did you not go out and get George Lucas and give him an actual budget? Because it's nothing like Star Wars. Like, it's nothing like Star Wars. It would have been a completely different kind of movie to him, but it would have had special effects in it, and I gotta believe George Lucas would have wrote a better script, would have had better dialogue, would have had better special effects, and we could be sitting here talking about a movie that it would be considered a classic
right.
with I mean,
It's Army. It's a classic.
all right, so what do you say we start this off? By the way, just so everybody knows, Ken Nardi, Frank Ken Stein on YouTube. He redid the intro to this movie, and he did I like the intro to the movie, but he did a really good job redoing the intro to the movie. But I do like the original intro. As far as watching the movie, if you have Kissology, I think it's volume 2. There is a copy in the second DVD. Other than that, we found it on Facebook to watch it, and we had no luck finding it anywhere else. I found a version dubbed in German on YouTube, And other than that, if you want to watch it on YouTube, you got to watch it in like 20 different clips. So for anyone that's never seen this, number one, if you're a KISS fan and you never saw this, you have to watch this. You do not have to watch it sober. So the movie opens up in the park. I guess the main couple in the movie is riding a roller coaster. This is really the opening scene of the movie. I can't say it's spectacular. I can't say it's terrible.
There's a marching band going in the park. And then it shows a little bit about how their relationship is. They're pretty much the two main characters other than Kiss, right? Other than the, you have the
And the Phantom.
Park and the scientist. Yeah, you got like three kids that are, the one guy's wearing a leather cap and he looks like a biker kind of, and he has two people with him, a couple with him, and they're just causing stirring stuff up in the park, messing with people, popping a kid's balloon.
Oh my God. Popping a kid's balloon.
Right.
How dare they?
And then you see you first see at a certain point, you first see the villain in the movie.
Abner Devereaux. That's what his name is in the movie.
They kind of like are chastising the kids for causing problems. And now then you see him you see that Abner Devereaux walk with the owner of the park, who's kind of like the ringleader of making the event happen with KISS. They're there for a three-day concert in the park. And then you see the main couple and the young couple there. You see them break away. The girl's boyfriend works for the doctor, and you just see him kind of branch away. He said he had something that he forgot, and he starts going back to what is known as the Devereaux's fortress, for lack of a better word.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is the sliding door up and down. One of my favorite. That's the Star Wars moment right there. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much for me.
It did have a pretty futuristic look for back then. Now she's waiting for her boyfriend to show up.
I have a feeling he's not going to show up.
So that's pretty much the premise of the start of the movie. This girl was supposed to meet up with her boyfriend after he checked on something. He's not coming back, and now she's kind of like in a panic. So we're kind of like she's the catalyst, and we're kind of like following her. We're kind of like following her search of for lack of a better word, of trying to find him.
And there's a lot of things wrong with this movie. Like, it's an imperfect movie. But one of the biggest things that I have heard over and over again was they should have never made a movie if all four band members weren't sold on it.
100%, absolutely.
And it seems to me like Peter most, but then Ace a little less, weren't interested in doing this. And it probably created a lot of the problems that they had. Making a movie is a lot of hurry up and wait. And I don't know that Peter and Ace were in the best place to have all that kind of downtime.
Well, listen, I got something on that if you want to get right there. Exact mentality of where they were. So this is from Ken Sharp, published October 2023. He grabbed a quote from Peter and Ace combined. And basically the quote is, "We had broads in our trailer. The fridge was full of beer. We were into Coke at the time. When asked why Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park was destined to be one of rock and roll's, where it says worst movie. I wouldn't call them all the worst movies, but they were in another planet themselves at the time."
Right. You gave them all that free time to sit around with the addiction problems that they had. Like, it probably, I blame Bill Aucoin and Neil Bogart for not,
Reading the room.
for lack of a better term, not paying attention to the band and then not setting them up to succeed. They set them up to fail. By all accounts, it was a rushed script. As soon as they get done filming this, they all go in different directions and do their solo albums. Like, it was a bad time to be Kiss to begin with. It was just a bad idea altogether that I still think could have been better and could have been probably a big success.
I agree with that. I mean, timing is everything, and unfortunately, the timing was bad for this. But if the timing was right, who knows how good it could have been. I mean, look at Ace's solo album, right? Timing was right for that because he was motivated. They weren't motivated for this. If they were motivated, they'd have been like, "No, we're not doing that. That's going to make us look stupid." They didn't care. They wanted to get it over with.
Well, they did care. I mean, I've read a couple articles. Peter really has nothing nice to say about this movie. And most of the issues it seems that he has with this movie is the fact that he didn't become a rock star to become a movie star. He didn't really want anything to do with this. Ace, being Ace, I think was more in the middle of, oh, we're going to have fun and games. And then I think Gene and Paul were about the business end of this. What can this do for us? Which kind of gets us into all kinds of interesting things. Like, I like the music in this movie, but the music panders to the fans. And I just don't envision KISS in 1978 having to pander to anyone. The solo albums go out September 18th, 1978. This film played on NBC, I think October 28th, 1978. So they put one solo song from each record in the movie. They're trying to promote it. They put Beth in the movie in a spot where it doesn't make any sense at all. It's very clear they're trying to promote the song Beth. You're KISS, you're on top of the world. I don't know that you really have to do that. And I'm sure it wasn't the band. It was and the other question, and I think that this is important for this, is the people that wrote this movie and the person that directed this movie, did they have any clue about KISS? Were they KISS fans? Like, I don't see how you could make this movie without understanding the band.
I got a call from Joseph Barbera. He was a KISS fan.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
He's one of the few, but just to bring you guys up to speed real quick, where we are in the movie right now, that those three derelicts that were causing problems in the park had a little run-in with the Devereaux, the villain, who has one of his mechanical things. He's like a gorilla. They're messing with it. He's telling them not. He doesn't care for them. They'll play a part later on. And there was already friction with the owner of the park and Devereaux, because Devereaux kind of works for him. And one of the rides was going out of control because Devereaux was testing it with live people in it, and it was getting out of control. So he's on thin ice with the owner of the park. So that's kind of where we are.
And now, if we're at the same spot, he's the woman, Melissa.
Yes.
Is now in his workshop, which is 100 and some feet below ground.
I would say, like, if you had to pinpoint what this doctor really does well, is he creates all these live characters. He has a quartet of guys or whatever, mechanical. He has Frankenstein that moves and is animated, and he actually, you'll find later on too, he has some kind of device that he puts on certain people, and he can make them into the same kind of, I guess, clone or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I just want to say Joseph Barbera made a statement. He was the one that I found, only one I found that had any interest in KISS, and he stated that they had their entire set on set, their entire gear and stuff that they did, which was worth $1 million. And this is while we're doing this too, I got a statement from Bill Coyne. They hired a good director, but when he tried to get scenes out of the guys, it took twice as long because they never did it before. So Hanna-Barbera fired him and got somebody else in the process.
Oh, who was the first director? Do you know?
I don't have the stats on that, but that I just basically the site that I was finding more, details on this was more like quotes from different people, even Peter Chris, like that one, different things like that. I don't have the actual deep update details of that, but I'm sure Wikipedia would be able to get that. Again, guys, this is the first time we're doing something like this, so if we do something like this again, I'll definitely have more of the stats behind it.
No, I'm pretty sure we're not going to do anything like this ever again unless they come out with the Elder movie. In which case, I'm going to call out sick.
I will wait in line for tickets.
I bet you will.
Oh, by the way, the only other thing I got to, and I don't know if you covered it, I apologize. This was actually meant to be a feature movie, and it went to TV as a TV film because they were looking to save money.
It's unfortunate. It really is. If they would have taken out some of this fluff and added more concert footage, and then I'm going to be on this entire time, and then hire George Lucas to write and direct this, and then actually get some good special effects. There was hope for this, considering Kiss's popularity in 1978. I mean, I might be the only human being on the earth that thinks this, but this could have been a very good feature film if you would have added a little more concert. Like, there's a couple other things that just seem kind of, I don't know, it seems kind of weird to me. You ever notice, like, I'm probably going to bring Star Wars up a lot in this, but you ever notice in Star Wars that for the most part, they all wear the same thing throughout the whole movie? You ever notice that? Like for the first Star Wars, Han Solo wears the white shirt, the dark vest, like for the whole movie. And they do that in this movie with Kiss. And I at least for me, it by about halfway through the movie, it kind of started to bother me. Like, I don't know what else you put them in, but I would have like when they put the robes on, and the robe scene is coming up in a few minutes, the first one. Like, they it seems to me like they make a point to show that they're wearing the costumes under the robe. I would have preferred if they had the robes closed and got rid of the costumes, because
The robes are cool.
I don't understand the point of the robes,
Mm.
but yeah, they're kind of cool.
And just if you just to bring you up to speed where we're at in the movie, I don't know what you'd call it, but like a part of where the Dr. Devereaux, or where the scientist Devereaux has his thing, they went into, like, what do they call that? Where you go into like a spooky thing that they have at amusement parks.
I think they call it the House of Thrills.
Right. So
Is that what they call it in the movie?
yeah, something like that, but it probably is. But those three derelicts that were causing problems now have ventured into that area, and the scientist is going to have a little fun with them, and they eventually get scooped up into his grasp, and he makes clones out of them, or whatever you want to do. He puts them in like revolutionary clothes.
He zombifies them.
Yep. And when he does, you don't feel bad for them, because they were causing all kinds of problems. So you're like, it was kind of comical. Basically, what's being set up is how, like, twisted this scientist is. They want you to know how like twisted he is in his head before Kiss really becomes prevalent in their role in the movie.
I read somewhere, and I haven't fact checked this at all, but I read somewhere that the total, so the movie's 96 minutes long, and out of those 96 minutes, Kiss appears for 12 minutes. 12 minutes in the entire movie. Like I said, I don't know that that's the truth, but if it's more than 12 minutes, I don't think it's a lot more than 12 minutes. I think they made a good villain.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely a villain. And he's a good actor, because he makes you, like, right now we're at a part where the clash between the owner of the park and the villain, he's going to be letting him go now. And you see him kind of like, he was already kind of teetering on the edge of like a psychopath, and now he's like officially there.
And you know what? Look, I'm not a big fan of Academy Award winning movies or anything, but this is not a bad scene acting wise to me.
It's believable.
Yeah, I think they're both good actors. Whoever this other guy is I think was a pretty well known actor also.
You know what bothers me though? You can definitely tell from the very beginning when they first walked. You could definitely tell that they have a history. It would have been nice to like know a little bit more backstory about their connection, because you could tell like he likes him as a friend, but the business partnership is kind of done. So that would add a little more substance to it. But their acting in that scene right there where he lets him go is definitely very believable. So now Devereaux is walking in kind of like a trance. You can tell that he actually really is good at good at this role, because you could see he's kind of like he's going into like the Joker, like with the Joker's like psycho, and you can see in his face just how twisted he is. He's got a kind of the Joker look to him.
Oh, finally, we're gonna get to a concert scene.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, baby Jesus.
Loading up the park, people have paint on their face like Kiss. They're all getting pumped up for them to take the stage.
Thank God. We are roughly 29 minutes into the movie. We have yet to see Kiss at all. And now we're going to see Kiss. Would be a nice way to start off a concert, too. An outdoor concert with fireworks. An outdoor Kiss concert with fireworks. All in all together, I like this. I don't know why. It might be my goofiness.
They're in the how do you describe it though? They're all like
I don't know how you describe it. They fly in to start the concert,
and the riding Paul's riding his own.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said, it's goofy. It's a little campy.
Gene looks like a bat.
Yeah, you know, the worst special effects of the entire movie is Gene's fire. It's terrible. Like it just screams low budget.
He growls a lot. His growl is kind of cheesy too.
Oh, the growl's terrible. The whole voice is terrible. Good song. Shout it out loud. I like the song choice. I like the concert footage.
Yeah, I do too.
It is one of the most iconic stage shows that they ever did with the lighted stairs. I mean, they did a lot of things good. Peter's drums, the way they have the light shining off of Peter's drums, I think looks really good.
It is kind of interesting though how they brought like for the movie they were using all their equipment. You know, everything that they had to that stage was theirs that they brought in for the movie. So right now Kiss is still on stage and they're playing the song.
Couple things that bothered me about this that I thought they kind of left a couple things out. I thought the special effects for the fire was terrible. No, I don't believe any part of this do they have Gene spit blood.
No, I don't.
I thought they should have thrown that in there somewhere. They don't have Ace smoke the guitar. I thought they should have had that in there.
You know what's watching this movie and thinking about where they were at this particular time, it just is. And I appreciate every error that they had, but it makes you a little sad because you can kind of tell with what Peter and Ace were going through right there, they didn't really fully grasp what they had. At least Ace and Peter didn't.
Yeah, I think Gene and Paul wanted to rule the world. And I think Ace and Peter wanted to be rock stars.
Yeah.
So I think I at least think this. Gene and Paul were like, movie stars? Great, let's do it. And I just think that, you know, Peter's in the corner going, I play the drums. Like, I'm a drummer in a rock band. Sometimes it can be too much. Like, you hear it in quotes and interviews from both Ace and Peter. The merchandising started to bother them after a while. The catering to straight out children started to bother them after a while. But if you want to rule the world, you have to do things for all age groups. And that's what I think that was the big divide. Ace and Peter are, chicks in the trailers, beer in the fridge, mounds of Coke on the table. They wanted to be rock stars in the 70s. And Gene and Paul, like I said, wanted to rule the world. They wanted to go into merchandising. Look, nobody's wrong. I mean, it is the music business. So Gene and Paul aren't wrong for it. I mean, just because the chances that they took, some of them didn't turn out well, it doesn't mean that they were wrong for trying. For KISS fans, especially in 1978, pre-video cassette, if not, I'm guessing VCRs are probably about $1,000 in 1978. Your pre-300 channel on television, what do you got? 5 channels maybe? Most of them shut off at 11, 12 o'clock at night. You have no internet. To see KISS, you have to go to a concert. You have to buy a magazine, or you have to watch the KISS movie. So I think for 1978, I was 4. So it's kind of hard to put myself there. But if I was 15 in 1978, like, this is how you get to see the band. They have to go on a television show, or they have to make a movie, or you have to go see them in concert. Like, it's not 2025 where if you want to go to a KISS concert, you just go on YouTube and you pretty much pick which concert you want to go to, and you can go to the concert. Like, you didn't have that then, so you didn't have to have an incredibly great movie to feed the KISS fans. You just had to put KISS on film, and it was going to be a story. If you could have put KISS on film and done some things differently, it would have been a much better entire thing. And there's some good parts. Like, we're coming up on the part where Gene breaks through a wall, and I guess he kind of attacks the security guards. And once again, call me goofy, I think it's a pretty good scene. I could have done without Gene breaking through the brick wall, because he looks like the what is the Kool-Aid man? That reminds me of the old Kool-Aid commercials.
But this is. I mean, right before he did that, you see Devereaux doing his thing, and he has all the members up there. So he's basically, what he's doing is he's creating the imposter band. And
It's not a bad scene.
well, I love the way Jean's look, so I thought it was really cool. And through all this process, she's still looking for a boyfriend who is basically a robot, basically listening now to Devereaux. That's what's that.
Maybe that's better. Maybe he wasn't a zombie. Maybe they made him a robot.
Yeah, he put some kind of device on his neck, and it made him follow all the instructions of the scientist.
I can tell you one thing: they gave Gene probably the best stunt double.
Yeah, I saw what you were talking about. Oh my god!
Because the stunt doubles are horrific. They are just terrible. I have no idea why someone would think it would be a good idea to get a black stunt double for Ace Frehley. How can you not know that of any fans, KISS fans, were going to pick this apart and then you gave him a black stunt double. These are the parts, like, why make a movie if you're gonna half-ass it? And it's not the band, and for that matter, it's not Neil Bogart, it's not Bill Aucoin.
That's Hanna-Barbera.
Hey, like, how do you do that? And you see what I'm talking about here? Like, this is the pool scene. We're at the pool scene right now. And I have no idea what the point of these robes are, but I don't know.
That's definitely like a Star Wars-esque type of feel there.
Yeah, they're kind of cool robes. I just, like, I would have, like, take them out of the costume. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Iron Man does not run around in his Iron Man costume when he's not Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, like you can have too much of a good thing, and that was one of the things, like, critiquing the movie is, I'm not trying to say show him in jeans and a t-shirt, because I know no one was going to do that. But if you're going to put robes on them, like, just have the robes close and don't show the costumes underneath.
So now where we are is the girlfriend kind of knows now what's going. She thinks Devereaux is really behind the boyfriend. He says something to appease her. She leaves. They're back at the pool, and they're accusational about to Gene, even though the stuff that happened at the park wasn't Gene. It was his imposter that did that.
The Gene voice is horrific.
It's very bad.
They did not need to have him speak in whatever you want to call that 100% of the time. The growl is even worse. It's overused. And this is as good a time as any to bring this up. One of the things that kills it for me is the voiceover of Peter. Just kills it. I can immediately tell it isn't Peter. If I was the director of this movie, like, you're putting your name on this, that there is no way I would have done things like that. I would have rather canned the movie and don't put the movie out.
Well, it shows that they were probably, Ace and Peter were unreliable at that point, so they were under time crunch, and they probably just tried to do whatever they could do to just get it done.
People half-assed a lot of parts in this movie to me. The people half-assed it that shouldn't have half-assed it. And furthermore, Neil Bogart should have took one look at this movie and said, "No, we're not putting this out." Bill Aucoin, like, that was their job. And like I said, the movie's not terrible. To me, it's not terrible, but it could have been so much better. Bill Aucoin did so many things right. And for that matter, Neil Bogart did so many things right. Like, if you're gonna do this, do it right. Get the proper budget.
That's a loaded statement. It's a good statement, but it's a loaded one, because even the thought of doing a Hard Day's Night, that's a good idea. Doing their version of Tommy. In theory, you're a big enough band to where it should sell, right? If you do it the right way. So
Sure.
those aren't bad ideas, but the execution is where the problem is.
Yeah, I don't know what the ratings were, but I'm guessing that
Well,
when
part of the movie now, real quick, yeah, just cover that. They have special powers. The four members, they have like this thing that opens up, and you see the lightning bolt, you see the demon sign, you see the star, and you see the cat signal. Those are their powers in that case that they have, that they possess. Like, we just seen Paul uses his eye power to listen to a conversation. He shoots a laser out, and he can hear a conversation from far away.
they are the talisman, which, here's a funny little thing. Peter was incapable, this is the story. Peter was incapable of saying the word talisman. And there was a point in the movie where he was supposed to say it, and I guess they tried, like, they took like 20, 30 takes and he couldn't say the word.
Mm.
Which if you're a geek like me, and if you're watching this podcast, you probably should be a geek like me. I've heard stories that they voiced over Peter's voice because of his Brooklyn accent. I don't buy that, because Paul's accent in this movie is almost as bad as Peter's accent is. And then I heard another story that the fact that he couldn't say the word talisman frustrated the director. And then I heard another story that, with all movies, when they make the movie, after the movie's made and they produce and edit it, a lot of times they have to voice over scenes. So the actor has to come in and just do the lines over, and then they drop it in to the scene. And, there's a story that Peter refused to do his voiceover work. But Peter actually, I think I read an interview where Peter says that that's not true. He didn't refuse to do any voiceover work. So as is with a lot of things that goes with the original four members of KISS, there's 10 different stories of why something turned out the way it turned out. So you can pick just about any story you want and run with that, I guess. But I don't buy the fact that they voiced over all his lines because he couldn't say one word. I don't buy the fact that there was a problem with his Brooklyn accent. Hey, KISS Army, we work hard on this podcast and try to give you the best content possible. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, the podcast is now on all the podcast platforms. So please like and follow us there and give us some 5-star reviews. It really helps us out.
And while you're there, please let us know if there's any KISS related subjects that you would like us to cover in the future episodes.
They're back on stage right now for day 2.
And what song are they playing?
I can't tell. I'm trying to figure it out.
I Stole Your Love.
Good song. You like that song, don't you?
I do. Like, I thought they especially the live songs, I thought they did a good job picking good songs. They were current songs at the time. Shouted Out Loud, I Stole Your Love.
That's a good shot of the snake where he's getting the fire from.
Uh-huh.
But that was really good visual there.
And he does breathe fire, which just makes it worse.
Right. But that scene right there is really cool. Like, that's a really good shot. You see him do it live on concert when you're watching concerts on YouTube and stuff like that. But I thought that capture was really good. Really well done.
They do a very good job, I think, of capturing the essence of a KISS show. If you saw this movie in 1978 and you were a KISS fan and had never seen KISS live, I have a feeling you were planning to go see KISS live as soon as you could after this. Like, they did a very good job of promoting and marketing their live show, at least to me.
No, 100, absolutely. 100%.
I mean, the song choice, the live shots on stage, the fact that they got the fire breathing, they do a pretty good job showing the stage show and the setup. There are good things. There are plenty of good parts or good things in this movie. And we just went through one of the worst parts in the movie, and it's one of the best parts in the movie, in my opinion, and it's one of the worst parts in the movie. It's one of the best parts because it's Beth acoustic, and I'm a big fan of Beth acoustic. It's one of the worst parts because it has no business being in the movie. It doesn't fit the scene, doesn't fit the story. it's clearly pandering to the fans because it's the most popular Kiss song. It's the most popular Kiss song at the time. Like it's just, I don't feel like Kiss in 1978 on top of the world needed to pander to anybody, and they should have skipped that, or they should have wrote a scene to where it would have fit a little
Right.
more. It's really, look, a 6-pack of beer, an entire bottle of Jack Daniels, a pound of weed isn't gonna make that scene make any more sense. Cause I rewound it and watched that scene like 3 times in the last couple days, trying to figure out, like, okay, what were they thinking here? Where
The
can we
only,
link this?
the only thing I can come up with is that they're talking to the girl as a group, and she's upset because she can't find her man, and Beth is supposed to represent that she's feeling sad that she can't find her man. That's the only thing I was able to draw from that, and I'm not saying I'm right. That's what, reaching for straws. That's what I was able to think about.
So in turn, you're gonna kick her in the face. Because if you listen to the words of Beth, you're pretty much telling her, too bad, honey. I got other things to do.
It doesn't make any still doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's
Beth, I hear you calling,
right.
but hey, I'm busy, so peace out, yo. I mean, it just doesn't.
Well, just cover this part because it's important.
What, the first time she sees Sam, which is the boyfriend,
It was a robot.
or a zombie robot. But we gotta, before the end of this, we're gonna figure out what the hell we should be calling him. Probably not, but it's kind of goofy, but also kind of funny that most of Peter Chris's lines have something to do with cats.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But I'm
yeah.
going to center stage with this one. The best line of the entire movie is when Peter says, "It's too quiet." Like they're trying to get to Devereaux's lair, and Peter goes, "It's too quiet." What does Ace say?
Ace says something like, well, why didn't you say so? And then starts to sing Rocket Ride.
Yeah, I love that part.
And now is as good. Now is as good a spot as ever to say that I'm sure this was done by accident and not on purpose, but I think they got Ace perfect in this movie. They capture his personality. I think they give him some good lines, which is kind of funny considering that the first version of the script, the only lines that Ace had was "ack." Uh, they did. To me, they did a really good job of it. I mean, they give Gene some word soup lines that are unneeded. They give Paul some word soup lines that are unneeded, and I just don't think they give Peter enough lines. Everybody kills the bad acting. For me, it's not the bad acting, it's the bad writing, it's the bad directing, it's the bad stunts. Like it, and that brings me, this is going to be like the first fight scene here. This is where I figured out that the band had lost touch with reality. Like, I can understand that not everybody is going to be Tom Cruise. For anybody that doesn't know, Tom Cruise does, I think he does all of his own stunts.
Yep.
But he does at least most of all of his stunts. I can understand you don't want to do your own stunts, but these guys are using stunt doubles for, and they're using bad stunt doubles for parts of the movie that just don't need stunt doubles. And then, like I said earlier, you cast a black man as Ace Frehley's stunt double. you put the worst wig, it is the worst wig I have ever seen on Peter Criss's stunt double. It doesn't even look like him. Like, if you're going to do things like that, don't show the stunt doubles' faces. Like, it would have just taken a little more camera work, probably a little more money and a little more time to do it right. They just cut every corner that they could. And like, dude, there's good. I don't understand why. When the hell does Ace Frehley become a gymnast? And like, what do we need to have? Like, we didn't need that. I mean, it was a pretty good. It was a pretty good, whatever the hell you want to call that. But like, I don't understand. He's a spaceman. He's not a gymnast. What, I don't understand why we needed that.
And the slash martial artist.
Yeah, I'm cool with the martial arts part. You imagine how hard it must have been.
Peter had a nice right hook there.
But you imagine how hard it must have been to do these stunts and then platform boots.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, I don't want to kill all the stunt doubles. It's not their fault that they got chosen and they look nothing like the members of the band.
And not for nothing, Peter looks like the one who can actually scrap the best in that and out of all these exchanges. Paul's using his laser to shoot down, what are those, monkeys or whatever? To shoot out the robot monkeys.
They're apes.
Kiss battles the apes.
Yeah, great. Sounds like a great idea. You should start writing the script.
Now Gene's walking around with the head full of electronics in it.
I think they should remake this movie. Rewrite the script. Get rid of all the dialogue and start over new.
And just so you know, Kiss is on the hunt right now still for Devereaux and to look for her boyfriend. And these martial artists are showing up with silhouettes in different colors to start fighting them. Japanese ones with swords and all kinds of stuff that they're going to have to battle before they get to, to Devereaux.
And I think this is my favorite fight scene.
Yeah, Gene's pretty cool in this. He's not even moving. He just boop, boop, boop. And then he throws one punch. It is pretty cool the way they script.
See, but you really can't tell that that's not Gene. But the rest of these guys, you can tell it's their stunt double. And I just don't understand why you got to use the stunt double for these parts.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it's not Ace.
I mean, the actual stunts, I get it. Like here when Peter's jumping through the air, I get that. But like, the fight scene.
Yeah, that's a horrible wig.
Right. It's terrible. It's a mullet before mullets were even popular. But this is what I'm talking about with this flamboyant. They made Paul way too flamboyant for me. Like he has to do everything with all of this flamboyance. Like it's just over the top.
And Ace, one of Ace's magic powers is he could snap his fingers with a thumbs up and they disappear.
I love it.
Area. That was cool.
I love it. Ah!
So now you see Devereaux. He sees them trying to get to him. He's in a control center, the mad scientist. Oh, yeah, by the way, I don't know if he's covered it. What's his name? The boyfriend who's controlled by Devereaux stole their powers, right? He stole the box?
Not yet.
No?
He's going to steal the talisman now. He tried to, but he failed.
Okay.
Because there's a force field around it.
Right. So Devereaux gave him a gun that's supposed to break the force field so that he could take it.
It's a ray gun.
Like a laser gun, ray gun. That is pretty cool. Like that centering for their powers. They again, I keep coming back to this, but it could have been really, really well done. Could have been had more substance to the movie.
I can't tell you how many times during this movie that I noted Ace Frehley's stunt double. Like it was just driving me crazy. Like
it's obvious.
Almost every scene that the guy is in, I'm like, why is he here? Like if Ace didn't, and I understand the stories are Ace didn't show up for filming and Ace didn't, you do not replace him with the black stunt double. You do not. Like, you stop filming and you find someone that fits his description, or you just don't film a movie.
Or somebody go get him.
Well,
If he doesn't want it, it doesn't matter. He's under contract. You go get him, clean him up.
yeah, I don't know. Stories about Ace at that time, it'd probably take you 24, 48 hours to clean him up. And he wasn't even the one that, it sounds to me like Peter was in worse condition than he was. But still, I mean, can you just imagine? Hey, anybody know where Ace is? Nah, I haven't seen him. All right, let's have this stunt double stand in here. No, we're not gonna have his stunt double stand in. Like, it's almost like there was no quality control. Again, there was no guardian. Like, there was no one that was sitting there going, no, we're not going to do that. This is a bad idea.
And Bill Coyne should have known better. I mean, he was the one who really kind of knew what they were all about.
Like, I can understand the band not having a clue and just going with it, but if you're Bill Coyne or you're Neil Bogart, like, this was as important to them, you would think, as it was to the band. Like, you mean to tell me that Bill Coyne, and maybe I'm wrong, but Bill Coyne wasn't on this set every day? I would think that was part of his job, to be there and to pick the phone up. And look, who knows, who knows whether I have a clue or I don't. But at what point does Bill Coyne, or should Bill Coyne, have picked up the phone and called Neil Bogart and said, you need to come over here, we have problems. Like, this is not turning out well.
So it's a little more. They're more in the heart of the fear of thrills, or whatever they call it in the movie. The part where you go to amusement park and they have the creatures, and he's watching them because he has his central command there, and he's watching them. And they're still making their way towards him, and he's trying to set up traps for them.
So the evil dude has gotten his hands on their talisman now, and they're about to get abducted by the Phantom. And this is one of these movie things that drive me crazy. Like, and it happens in other movies too, but in real life, if we were somewhere and all of a sudden the ceiling opened up and there were compartments above us, I would step
Away.
away.
Yes.
It's like the scenes in Friday the 13th when they're, at the campground and you get that feeling like someone's coming to get me. That's when I get in the car and I go to a hotel. So they're in a fight scene right now and they don't have any superpowers. And to put it bluntly, they're pretty much getting their asses kicked.
Because the ray gun is controlling their power box, the Talus. Peter had a good moment there with sliding off a thing and kicking somebody. That was a pretty cool move.
Yeah, if it actually looked like Peter, it would have been a better scene.
All you got to do is look at the hair and it's not it.
Oh, my God. It's the certain little things, it's the certain lack of attention to detail that drive me insane. Like, you can give me a bad movie, a bad script, bad dialogue, bad special effects, but there's just certain things you have to dot the I's and cross the T's for. And I really can put anybody that is watching or listening to this podcast right now and saying to yourself, why am I watching or listening to this? I hate this movie. I would tell you, watch it one more time. And when you're done with it, you should start blaming everyone other than the 4 members of KISS. Because I think they were, for the most part, victims in this. the people that should have been managing them and doing the right thing by them really did them an injustice.
Well, and to put them away from their element. Yeah, did Peter and Ace? This is one thing I'll give them. Peter and Ace were definitely, having their share of drug problems and stuff. But I also think they may have been a little overwhelmed. It didn't make the drug issue any better.
The major problem with this movie to me is things that the band were out of their control.
And right now they're going to the third day of the third concert. The imposters are going on stage because ultimately the villain wants to destroy the park.
And look, this is one of the most ingenious parts of this movie to me. Changing the words in Hotter Than Hell to Rip and Destroy. It's epic. Yeah. To me, it's epic. It's probably the single most ingenious thing that anybody did was to rewrite the lyrics and put this in the movie. I think
very interesting the way it is. I give you that. At the moment, while the imposters are going on stage singing that, they're captive in like these. It's like a shock of they get shocked if they come out of it. They're like yellow pillars going up and down like a cell of like these yellow tall pillars blocking them. If they touch it, they get shocked.
Maybe a 6-pack isn't enough. Maybe a 12-pack. Maybe a 12-pack. Maybe you should pregame. But it's another good concert scene, if you ask me.
Coming down like that, absolutely.
Yeah, I always thought that was cool. They could have done better with the lighting. This scene specifically needs to be lit up a little more. And it's a classic part. Rip, rip, rip and destroy. I love it.
And it's making the crowd unruly. It's getting, it's getting them all riled up.
We're coming up on the epic final fight scene, which actually isn't terrible to me. What's terrible to me is, again, the stunt doubles.
Yeah, but I kind of like how, like you said, I kind of like how they pair them up. Like Gene fights Gene, Ace fights Ace. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty neat. So they're in their captive right now. They're looking to try to put their powers together as much as they can to get the Talus thing drawn to them so that they can escape and save the day. So you see the owner of the park getting really upset and nervous now because it's his whole, lifeblood of what he does. And, the park, he's worried the park's going to get destroyed.
This scene might have a little too much overacting here.
Yeah.
Concentrate.
Definitely going a little too long.
I have to do it together. See what I mean about the lighting, though? Oh, here they come.
Yep.
Our superheroes.
They're flying in towards the stage.
Flying in through the night sky.
Ready to kick some ass.
There we go with Gymnast Ace again.
That's cool. I like that part.
Yeah.
Easy, but that part was cool.
Yeah.
Gene grabs the big snake that he takes the fire from, puts it over his head, and he has double fire from the snake and him towards his adversary.
Now, if they could just make the fire special effects better, it would have been better.
Yeah. That was a cool part too. They all once all the villains are done, they raise their hands and all their instruments appear, and Peter automatically goes to the drums and they start playing the real song, Rock and Roll All Night.
This is one of the parts that bother me about this movie, though. Why not play Rock and Roll All Night live? Like, why play the studio version of it? And I guess it's the next song after this. They throw God of Thunder in, and I don't understand how it fits. And that happens throughout the movie. Like, that's not the only spot. Like, I like the songs that they used in the movie. I just think some of them should have been placed in other places that would have made more sense. I just don't think you're going to get a non-KISS fan to watch this movie. If you could have changed some things around and made them better, you might have a chance of getting non-KISS fans to actually watch this movie and like it. And
And
it's things like this part.
this is the stupidest part of the whole movie. They're all hovering around the owner, the girlfriend. They're taking the boyfriend finally now is getting that thing taken off of him, and he's going to come back to himself again. And they're all hovering around the control panel, control center. And you could take it away if you want.
I don't even know how to explain this.
That's what I'm saying. They're like they're talking to him, the villain Devereaux, and you don't see him. He's like in a blackened area. They're talking from the desk, the other side of the desk, and all of a sudden they say something, and he goes, he can't hear you, and they spin him around, and now that guy has gray hair, gray eyebrows, and is comatose. That's how it ends.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened to him. His hair is longer. I don't.
It's really, really stupid, and I don't really make that take that often. When I just flat out stupid.
And here's the scene with God of Thunder, and it's the live version of God of Thunder. So if you're gonna do the live version of God of Thunder, why didn't you do the live version of Rock and Roll All Night? Everybody knows it's a better version.
The creators of this movie did not fully understand the brand that KISS was. That goes into this too.
That was our viewing party of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. The movie lacked a proper budget. It's very obvious to me. It needed more money. I thought it was terrible casting of the stunt doubles. It was rushed. I think you could have found, you're only looking for 4 stunt doubles. You could have found 4 guys that looked more like the original band. I thought one of the good things, I said this earlier, they kept all the band's lines short. It's noticeable that all their lines are short, but it's not a bad noticeable. And I think it helps the acting. Look, one of the things that I can't say, and maybe this says more about me, I can't say they did a bad acting job. They did a bad production job. They did a bad directing job. They did a bad casting job. The band did not do a bad acting job. Look, I'm not trying to say that any of them were good actors, but when you give Peter Criss a line that's 4 words long, it's not very hard.
Yeah, I don't really even know how to judge that, to be honest with you. I mean,
If you don't notice it's bad acting, to me, it's not that bad of acting. Move some songs around, think before you do. Like, hey, we're going to put Rock and Roll All Night in here, and we're going to put Rock and Roll All Night in concert. Let's use the live version. Like, it's things like that. Like,
I'm wondering, you know how like Paul is so much a part of what happens with KISS? We always say Gene always comes back to Paul. I'm really wondering. I would love to find out what his overall opinion is, because it seems like maybe one of the times where he really didn't take an active role as much as he normally does, and a lot of things he let go, and maybe that's why he's so embarrassed about it when he can talk about it.
To me, I think they listened to Neil Bogart and Bill Aucoin, and for whatever reason, look, I think Bill Aucoin should be a hero to KISS fans. I have heard him called the 5th member of KISS about 100 times. I think this was one of his mistakes. And I don't think the movie was a mistake. I think, actually, I think the opposite. Like, I think in theory, it was a great idea.
Yeah.
I just think if you slow things down and you write a good script with better dialogue, you take more time casting, you maybe get these guys some acting lessons, and I imagine that would have probably been difficult, like because Peter and Ace did not seem to be that enthusiastic about the movie. But I think there was a way to sell it to them like, hey, we're doing this movie. Let's make you look as good as possible. And I still think they could have done that without acting lessons. They could have done that by crossing the T's and dotting the I's and doing things like not having a black stunt double for a white guy. It's not a race thing. You just don't do it. It's 2025. Show me a movie from 1978 to 2025 that replaced or that had a black stunt double for a white guy or a white stunt double for a black guy. You don't. You don't. To me, it's like movie making 101.
It should. It's Monday Morning Quarterback, but it should have been released.
Somebody had to edit this movie. And during editing, somebody should have been sitting there going, no, this isn't good. We need to reshoot this part. We need to do this. Like, somebody needed to be the adult in the room. And I just don't think there was an adult in the room that was paying attention, whether it was Hanna-Barbera or it was Neil Bogart or it was Bill Aucoin. I think putting on the band is ignorant and is thinking that they were more in control than they really were at the time. They were on a crazy train. Things had to be moving really, really fast. Like, if you're a KISS fan, you have to know they were pushing out multiple records a year. They were touring on a constant basis. They now finished filming this movie and they go in 4 different directions and they go record solo albums. Like, there's a lot of things going on. You throw in addiction, you throw in stardom, you throw in the fact that they constantly have to hide their identity. Like, you got to take all these things into consideration. And on top of that, they pay people a lot of money to watch over their brand. And they seem like they all dropped the ball.
You know what though? Even if it's probably one of the I guess endeavors that didn't work out great for them. One thing that, like, what we do here is provide content, right? We're trying to give the best product we can to make it entertaining, so we have this community and the whole blah blah blah, right? But one thing that KISS, everything in this world right now is about content, right? Content creators and all that stuff. My point that I'm going to make is, if KISS gave us anything with their catalog of everything that they've done, is they've given us content. Like, there's so many different areas of KISS that make you enjoy it as a fan, the good and the bad. The stuff you don't like, you still like. I love that line that that line you made, and I mean, it's going to apply in almost every episode we do from here going forward, because even their bad moments, it's still your baby, right? It's still your band.
Sure. I enjoyed watching this movie again. It's entertaining. It doesn't all make sense. It's not all good, but it's kind of entertaining. And like I said, with a 12-pack and a pound of weed, I'm sure it's super entertaining.
It could have done a lot if they made the ending better. It could have done a lot for the movie as a whole if they made the ending better. But
I can tell you right now, look, this is one of my problems in the world, is I always think I can do it, and I always think I can do it better. If KISS would give us the budget, I could take the basic premise of this movie. I could write a script. I can tell you right now, I can beat the hell out of the dialogue that they put in it. I can tell you right now that I can cast better stunt doubles than they did. I could tell you right now, and I don't know, I say this all the time, I don't know shit about what I'm talking about. But I do know that I could pull Peter Criss aside and go, hey, look, you need to do some of your own stunts, like the easy ones. Like, I understand that you think you're a superstar and this is beneath you, but like, we're making a movie here. And at the end of the day, and I think this is part of what Paul's hatred of the movie is Paul makes mention in more than one interview that when they went to the screening, everybody was laughing. And you know, we all know that Paul has more feelings than the average man does not make him a bad guy in any way, shape, or form. But that seems like that hurt Paul's feelings. And it hurt Paul's feelings because everybody looks at them. Like,
If something, for as much as like Paul's said some things that I'll never forgive him about for as a KISS fan, right? And Paul's not shy with his opinions. But the one thing that I'm always going to appreciate Paul, he's never been my favorite. I love his voice. I love, all his music, most of his music. But you know that Paul cares about what he puts out. He cares
absolutely.
about fans and he cares about what he puts out. And people can say a lot about him. But that's why I think he's embarrassed by this, because he knows that he is that guy, that the auditor, the guy that is going to check the T's and cross the T's, dot the I's before something goes out. And I feel like maybe he feels like he could have been a little more aggressively involved in, hey, listen, man, if this ain't right, it's not going out. I don't care.
You got to wonder if things like this were the reason why Paul and Gene became such control freaks.
Mm.
Like, you really do. Like, hey, we trusted these people to take care of us, and they really dropped the ball. Look, I understand $3 million today is a lot of money. Almost 50 years ago.
You're talking about movies. It's a different story.
Right. But hey, we're talking about this band's reputation, their brand, which was at an all-time high. And I by no means think that it hurt them publicly in any way. It didn't hurt them. I think it hurt people like Paul's feelings. And it's very obvious that Peter's voiceover hurt his feelings, but let's not forget, if Paul has the most feelings, Peter's coming in a close second because he's got quite a bit of feelings too. So if you're Bill Aucoin, if you're Neil Bogart, if you're a KISS handler, isn't it part of your job to make sure that your clients' feelings don't get hurt unnecessarily? Like, hey, this movie isn't working out. Like, hey, time for a band meeting. Hey, look, Ace and Peter, we know you like women. We know you like to drink. We know you like your cocaine. But like, at the end of the day, you're on the screen and it is KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. It's not Casablanca, Neil Bogart, Bill Aucoin, Hanna-Barbera, whoever the director was, Hessler. It's KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. KISS meets the Phantom of the Park is kind of like what makes the world go round for me. Like, I understand that it's a pop song. KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. I understand it's goofy, it's campy. I understand that there's mistakes all over it. I still kind of enjoy it. I do giggle watching it, and I do wonder, like, why did they allow that? Why didn't they do this? But all of that could have been avoided by better management. Like, do your job. And we're talking about a guy who, up into this point, probably did everything right. This was probably his first mistake. And who knows how much control he had, but he sure as hell had a voice. Like, I would love Like, these are things that we're never going to find out that literally can keep me up at night. Like, why doesn't Bill Coin step in and say, you're making a fool out of my clients? You're not going to make a fool out of them. We're either going to put more money in, we're going to get a better director, we're going to change the script, whatever it may be. I mean, look, I don't want to make the guy like he knew about movies, but the guy was a television commercial director before he was the band's management.
The other thing too, so there's a part of me that thinks he lost touch with a couple of people, regardless of the drug thing. Maybe the drugs were part of it.
Bill Coin probably had a really hard job, and when you're in a high pressured situation like that, sooner or later you're gonna make a mistake. This is just such a glaring mistake to me. I just don't know how he could make such a mistake. And like I said, who knows? Maybe he had no control over it. Maybe he had very little involvement in it. He's a producer of it, so I'm not sure that excuse is going to work. And if Bill Coin is hitting the coke too hard, as has been reported, and not that Neil Bogart was any better because he was doing the same thing, but to me, there has to be layers. So I would think that a band as big as KISS in 1978 would have layers in place of people that can go to people and say, hey, this is a bad idea. Like, ultimately, the buck stops at the band. So
Right.
if you sit down with Paul and Gene,
and
and just as a for instance, if you sit down with Paul and Gene and you say, look, the Elder sucks, dude. Like, this is terrible. Nobody's going to buy this. And they go, no, it doesn't suck. We love it. It's great. Okay, we'll put it out. Like, because the buck stops at the band.
right.
But it doesn't sound to me as though the band were filming this movie and we're like, oh, this is working out great. It doesn't sound that way. And to me, it sounds like anybody that has vision could see what parts of this were going to be a train wreck.
Mhm.
And why didn't they do anything to stop the train wreck before it happened? And like I said, for those that love this movie, like, I don't think it hurt the band at all. It didn't hurt the band publicly. It didn't hurt anything like that. It just became like kind of a joke that it didn't need to be. And I'm still going to go with this, and everybody should listen to me very carefully. It's 1978. You are KISS. You are the most famous, most popular band in the world. You're selling tons of records. You're making people tons of money. Oh, you want to make a movie? Oh, it's going to be A Hard Day's Night meets Star Wars? Cool. Go get George Lucas. What? Yep. Go get George Lucas. I want George Lucas to write it. I want George Lucas to produce it. I want George Lucas to direct it. And that's what I want. And I'll sign off on doing it. It goes back to what I said earlier. Maybe KISS had lost touch with reality. And maybe it was the speed that everything was going. And it is most definitely revisionist history. If you are the best, you wanted the best, you got the best. Well, if you're the best, go get the best. Spend the money. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. As long as you put the best product possible out there, and I can't blame the band, but this is not the best product possible.
I sum it up by history. It's a part of history. To me, it's exactly like The Elder. It's like right on par with The Elder. There's some good points and there's some really bad points.
Yeah. It's fun watch. It's fun for me to watch.
One of my favorite things Ace ever did ever that I've seen is that part with where Peter goes to him. It's really quiet here. Why did you say so? You want a rocky ride? I thought that was the coolest thing out of nowhere. Like that really. You had said that Ace was the one who was cast more. I forget how you were, but he was cast the most like himself. And that part right there is the epitome of him having a good showing in the movie.
All right, folks. We did something different tonight. We're not sure how it's going to turn out.
Hope you like it.
So if it sucks, we apologize. And we probably won't try anything stupid like this again. If it doesn't suck, well, unless they come out with the Elder movie, we probably won't do this ever again. As always, thank you for your support.
Thanks for the comments. Keep coming.
Definitely, if you can't load us up on comments over this movie,
yeah, that's very true.
Like you have so I'm interested to know, like, who likes the movie, who doesn't like the movie, who agrees that the movie's not terrible but could be better. Like whatever you think about the movie, drop it in the comments below, please, because like we say this all the time, and I know everybody thinks we're pandering to get comments because it helps the algorithm, and of course we are. We're trying to get as many people to click on this podcast as possible. Like we ain't doing this for nothing, but I promise you we ain't making no money. And I promise you it's costing us money. But
we legit live by the comments.
Really, I live for the comments. It drives me crazy when I wake up in the morning and I got to spend 2 hours replying to comments. But it's also the best craziness of the day because it means you're engaged and it means we're not wasting our time.
Give us your hooligan self.
This is one of those things that I'm very interested to see what everybody's take is on it and what everybody thinks.
Absolutely.
So with all that being said, thank you all for coming out. And remember, as the demon would tell you, after he tells you to wish upon a star, if it's too loud, you're too old. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.